I was born in a Christian home. I actually grew up at this church, Cave Spring Baptist, and I was homeschooled my whole life, and I was constantly surrounded by Christian curriculum, Christian people, and people who just loved Jesus. And this is seriously one of my biggest blessings. I will say that now. I said that back then as well. I do have to say, through middle school and high school, there were a lot of things that I still struggled with, even though I was surrounded by all of these amazing people who encouraged me and showed me the Lord. Obviously, I'm a sinful human and I still struggled with a lot of various things. The biggest thing that I could not get out of my head growing up was the idea of being the best. I wanted to be the best in so many different ways. The best athlete, the best daughter, the best sibling, the best student, and of course, the best Christian. I so badly wanted to be seen as this perfect girl who had everything together. And obviously, that was not the case. I let worries and anxieties fill my mind if I thought I did something slightly wrong or if I thought someone would perceive me in a negative way. This thought process continued all throughout my middle and high school, and I still struggle with some of it today. But as I look back at those times of filling my mind with worries, I also think of the time that the Lord was faithful in middle school and high school. I am so grateful for the ways that He poured people into my life. In middle school and high school, I was able to go on various mission trips, a few with this church to El Salvador and to serve Medford. And I was also able to go to India. And from those trips is where I really saw what it looked like to live for the gospel and live for the kingdom of Jesus, not for myself, not striving to be perfect. That hadn't quite clicked for me yet, but that's something I can now look back and see that I needed. When I went to El Salvador, I so distinctly remember so many amazing people. It was my first mission trip, especially a lady named Lucy. She was so full of joy and life, and I wanted that. I had no clue why she was so joyful until I began to see how much she cared about Jesus. Her love for the Lord was so evident and was something I wanted. And so, as I go off to college, now experiencing what I have in high school, I'm still letting these worries of being the best, of being perfect, kind of take over a lot of my thoughts and a lot of my time. I would just replay different encounters with people and replay how I could have been better, been perceived better. What I was missing was how I knew Jesus. I was missing the aspect of a life of just living to know and love Jesus. I was living to be seen as someone who loves Jesus, but I wasn't doing it in my heart. This kind of all culminated and clicked in my mind my freshman year when my Bible study leader, shout out Betsy, asked me a question, and she said, "How are you delighting in Jesus?" I had no clue how to answer that. I gave some basic Sunday school answer back to her that she obviously did not buy, because every time I saw her for the next year, she would ask me this question. And as I pondered it and began to think what it meant to delight in Jesus, I began to realize that what I was missing was a true, intimate relationship with Him. I was using Him as a way to be perceived as the best Christian, and I was using Him as a way to climb the ladder and get to the top of whatever that was in my mind. But what I really needed was to spend time with Him and to delight in Him. As I continue on, I continue to meet with Jesus and remind myself of His love for me and of His characteristics that can fill my head with the truth of the gospel instead of the lies that I tell myself. My name is Haley Johnson, and this was my story.